Right, Pearl, you've be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Welcome to a segment that I'd like to call The Practical Perspective. Today we're going to jump into a video by none other than, yes, you guessed it, Just Pearly Things. And I am thoroughly tired of covering Just Pearly Things, but you guys keep clicking it, so me being a slave to the mob, I must oblige. So we're going to jump into this video. For those of you who are not familiar with who she is, she's a very popular personality on YouTube, and she has views that are similar to most of the red pill people. Some people say that she's just regurgitating things and has no life experience and is just a grifter. I'm not here to judge that per se, but you guys feel free to judge that in the comments below. We'll jump right into the video. Like to hear it? Here it goes.
Welcome back to Piers Uncensored. Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people.
Before we even jump into this video, I really need you guys to judge this dress from 1 to 10. And please judge this dress from 1 to 10. Let me know what you think. I'm going to leave it at that.
People think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
Now, when you guys get into YouTube, right, you have to make your own judgments on who it is that you want to follow. If somebody resonates with you, that's fine. I get it. Some of those statistics are very troubling to men, right? But when they hear it and they hear a woman saying it and, you know, usually she does that. Lack of makeup, looks like the girl next door. Very easy to just fall into this and like it, right? It's up to you. It could be her genuine feelings, but you might want to just look into that and see how much a person actually knows about the subject. The one thing that I did understand is that, yes, she doesn't have very much life experience. She's only 26 years old and has never, ever had an opportunity to actually have the male perspective. Now, that doesn't mean that she couldn't be a good advocate, but you just have to take some things with a grain of salt. And I can't say that she doesn't do her research. She is relatively studious and understands a lot of these facts. And sometimes it is good for a woman to voice it because, frankly, many people don't listen to men.
Okay, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've be called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about, but overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men.
Okay, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No.
When was this? At what point in time did only 5% of women want to vote? Somebody might want to fact check that, because that sounds just a little bit of a, I don't know. Carry on.
It's true. It's true.
At,
you look it up.
at the time.
At the time.
Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say, but, you know, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that
the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. You know, before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, you know, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
But what's that got to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but on specific.
Now, I get that part, right? But shame on you, Piers Morgan, because this is what you're leading with, right? And I understand this is going to be a very controversial topic to say that it sounds really radical for someone to say, hey, look, yeah, women shouldn't vote. And I dig that. So that's why he's doing it. But that's not valid. There's no way that we're going to rescind and just say, you know what? Yeah, women shouldn't vote. What legislator is going to even entertain that? It's not going to happen under any circumstances ever. So why even just Pearly things decided to voice that opinion is beyond me. And why Piers Morgan is entertaining it is also beyond me. There are so many other issues that we could be talking about that we could do something about, like the court system and how it pretty much only favors women, why marriages are failing. Like there's so many different things, like, you know, 80 to 90% of women are leaving men. Why is that a thing? Is there too much of an incentive for women to initiate divorce? These are topics that we could actually talk about and possibly even gain some ground. So shame on the both of you for entertaining these frivolous issues.
Specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have two votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped about.
No, do you know what it's sort of like?
I know.
No, it's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, you know, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean,
Political journalist. That's what this woman is. Why are you even talking to just Pearly things? Carry on.
Allegedly?
Well,
what do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, you know, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were.
Write.
Yes, they
so
were. That's incorrect. The first
okay,
female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that would be inherited property.
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made.
Yes, it was.
Self-made. Yes, it was.
She never inherited land.
Yes, she did not
inherit it. What law
permitted
that?
What
law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, you know, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
You know, your big push is that you care about men, and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
well, I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't made the point yet. Okay. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives, they have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers, and they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists are
well,
saying.
then okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring, because I don't I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen. Go apply to be on the oil rigs. Go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have equal rights. But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm...
She makes a valid point there. In most cases, women do not choose to do laborious work. They would rather sit down in an air-conditioned building and earn their money there. A lot of social work, different things where you don't have to put in the hard work. And you can't really fault them. They're not necessarily designed to work in the same manner that men are, but you want equality. So I could see where you're going with that one because it makes some sense here. Carry on.
Physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely
That's
not.
a
You,
bit-
no, but you said you were
Wow,
volleyball.
wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think
But
that
I don't
can
have more
do
strength.
those
I don't have
jobs.
more strength
But
than
I'm
the
not
average
going to take
man.
your right away to
I don't
do
have.
it.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be
That's
equal.
But you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do.
Yeah, there's a problem with that. I see a lot of red pill people say these types of things where you should have divorce being illegal. I think that's a really stupid argument because there are many cases of abuse, and it could be more detrimental to the people and the children to witness or be a part of a dysfunctional relationship. Some people really just can't get along. You have to understand that people change every few years, and the person that you may have married is no longer that person at all. Things that they used to do, they don't do, and you're no longer compatible, and it would just be stressful for both parties, and sometimes you just got to go. I don't approve of it per se. I would say that you should try to fight for marriage if you could, but I mean, at the same time, you can't stay in a toxic situation either. If it's to the point where there's abuse, whether it be mental, physical, you shouldn't want to be a part of that anymore. So divorce being illegal, it just sounds like a really silly idea. I don't think there should be so many incentives involved when it concerns women. That would probably slow down the rate of women getting divorced for frivolous reasons, and that would make a lot more sense. Carry on.
Do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate and the average marriage
Why is that all
8
down to the
years.
women, though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why
But
feminists ruin it?
you asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish
Yeah.
that first? So I'm saying, you know, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin, so you wouldn't be able to get married?
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
You know, and that's a fair.
Hold on, we got to back that up for a second. We got to try to back that up for a second. Where's he at?
The woman being a virgin, so you wouldn't be able to get married.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, then I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually.
That's exactly what I meant. See what he does? He's loving it. He's thinking ratings. Got him.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was. But, we can't go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think,
hang on. Okay, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't.
You might not like them.
But I'm here to challenge
Isn't she exercising her right as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. Don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering
I would actually love to see
hiring.
Ava Santana on an oil rig.
No, seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm saying.
They're not. It's pointless. They don't want to do that. They're never going to want to do that. And this is what I mean. Like, they're going on some serious points that are never going to happen. It doesn't make sense to entertain it. And that's why I'm a little bit frustrated with this interview, because most of the time spent was on arguments that no one's ever going to do anything about.
The same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, like, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem...
That's a valid point. Most people, when they get into marriage, they don't understand duty. And we live in a fantasy world right now where we're told that we're supposed to be happy all the time. And it's supposed to be easy. And it's supposed to be fun all the time. And that doesn't really happen. And a lot of it is just really your state of mind. Like, it's your perspective. Some people are happy just because they're in a good situation. And then other people just won't. Like, when you watch these movies, you see all this romance and these unrealistic things that they tell you that you should experience. But it's not realistic. That's not how real life works. That's never how it worked. But somehow, some way, today's society believes that life is supposed to be a lot easier than it actually is. It's not.
The problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate, where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff. When I hear things like that, I think there'll be a lot of people, especially older generation women perhaps, who think, you know what, she's got a point.
Well, I mean, I believe in agency, so I think that if a woman is going to look after her children in divorce, that's absolutely fine. I also believe in your right to speak your mind about it. What I don't understand...
I'd like to say, even before the 1920s,
do you know what I mean?
Women could speak openly. This idea that, like, women couldn't talk the last 500 years, there have been women throughout history...
I know, but the American state education system has failed before, and it's failing now.
There have been women throughout history that have read, written, and been very influential in society.
Okay.
So this idea like women could never do it.
Do you know what I don't understand though is when it gets spiteful, okay? Because you put down a few arguments that I think are perfectly, like, you know, they're kind of evangelical and they're Christian, but those are your right to say it. What I don't understand is when it kind of seeps into this sort of, you call women fat, you say that they shouldn't have abortions, you say that they have STDs. You know,
I mean, the question is, are they fat? Yes or no? The average.
And that's the whole thing too. I don't believe in insults too crazy to people. You know, that's especially when they're in your presence. That's tough. When you get on people who are in the public eye in general, yeah, they have to be able to take it. It is what it is. If somebody says something to me that's crazy, which has happened plenty of times, I've had people insult my looks, my intellect, my soul, and it is what it is. I chose to be out here in front of people, right? This is when you decide to be a YouTube personality, anything, or you're trying to be a public figure, you put yourself on social media. Just be prepared for the insults. It is what it is. It's part of it. You have to take the good with the bad. Be realistic, people.
American woman is 170 pounds. That's objectively overweight.
I mean, let's be honest. We now celebrate morbid obesity as some kind of body positive thing, and it is complete nonsense. So actually, on that point again, there's a bit of truth in that.
And this is the problem.
How have we come to celebrate morbid obesity as body positive?
Well,
it's nonsense.
We're not talking about morbid obesity. I was actually watching your podcast earlier, and you spoke to someone who was, I would say, probably a size 12, and you called her fat, obese, and a divorcée.
She was fat, obese, and a divorcee.
She wasn't.
I mean, like, I don't know what to say. This is the thing, women, we don't want to live in reality. We don't want to say things like, was she fat? Yes. Was she a divorcee? Yes. These things are just objective facts.
Okay, I'm going to have to objectively...
And she insulted me first. They always do.
I'm going to have to objectively end the debate, but it was an interesting conversation. I think we should get you two back together as a matter of urgency. Thank you very much, Pearl. Thank you, Ava.
Awesome. So, what I could say about that, man, not bad. She's really bombed really badly on a few of her last interviews, like crazy. Fortunately, this wasn't one of them. I think she performed decently. I'd give her maybe a C+, and some people may not like that, but in all reality, when you watch some of her other videos that she's done of late with these interviews, I would give her nothing better than an F+. So I'd say she did pretty well with that particular interview. She made some valid points, and I want to know what you guys think down at the bottom. Do you think she bombed it? Do you think she should stop? Because she has unfortunately lost some of her fan base. There are some people who are fleeing. There's been some struggles with the views, and that could be just all around because the entire red pill space is hurting right now, you know, because a lot of people have been exposed, including herself. I'm definitely sure she's part of it, right? So, yeah, it's a different ball game now. You have to try really, really, really hard at this point to try to make it in the red pill space because people are not believing you like they used to. Because a lot of people who came out to represent, they didn't have enough information, they didn't have the facts, and some of the ideas that they came up with were just absurd and extreme. So we're going to leave it at that. Please do drop a like in the video. It helps a lot more than you might imagine. Share this with a couple individuals if you would. We appreciate you for stopping by, and hopefully you are subscribed. And as always, stay hungry, my friends. Never thirsty.
You know that ain't my style.